Well, hello there. I'm Optimistic Dave, or Dr. David, as Billy called me today on the show. We call this TexAgs Rewind. I don't give out medical advice, but I can help you with your form. All right, let's talk about what we had on the show today. We had the Go Hour, as we always do, and we did our Pick 6, and I think OB and I copied each other because we're very similar. We had that. We had Caroline Fenton giving some thoughts. She's a LSU insider and now in Nashville, and she's seen Max Johnson's every snap at LSU, and she has some good insight to Max. Billy Liucci now on QB1. The eyeballs are there for a reason. We're all eyes on Max Johnson. And then, of course, the final countdown with Steve and Seth McKinney is TexAgs Rewind. All right, my friend, it is time for a little Pick 6 action.
Okay.
You ready to roll?
Yeah.
Let's go to Nick Savage behind the glass.
Nick Savage.
All righty, y'all. First game I got up for y'all. Number 1, Georgia going to South Carolina. That's an 11 o'clock kick. And Georgia is a 24-point favorite there.
Pardon? Oh, yeah, we're supposed to do that.
I'm picking the Bulldogs.
Yeah, you're picking the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
That's your Lee Corso thing.
I'm going to leave the points.
Leave the points.
Or lay the points.
I am going to agree with you, my friend. I am going 100% by the Bulldogs, and I think it might be 30, not 24.
Yeah, because they have a little bit of an issue with South Carolina too. Not a major rival, kind of like the way A&M used to be with Baylor.
Sure.
They're not a major rival, but they're kind of an annoyance. So you want to just get rid of them, smash them like a fly. So I think Georgia will dominate South Carolina.
Nick.
All right, this one was a great game last year. Number 22, Penn State going to Auburn. 2:30 kickoff at Jordan Air. Penn State's a 3-point favorite.
Penn State's a favorite. Okay. Well, I'll still take Penn State and give those points.
Yeah, I'm doing the exact same thing. We've struggled with quarterback situation here in College Station. I think they are still there as well.
And Penn State, Sean Clifford is kind of a really up and down kind of
hit or miss,
makes you crazy kind of guy. He's their Kellen Mond. He can be really good at times. He can be really bad, but I just don't believe in Auburn this year.
All right, then we go to number 3, Nick.
All right, the only other ranked matchup this week, I thought our game was the only one, but this is another one. Number 12, BYU going to number 25, Oregon, 2:30 kickoff. Oregon is a 3.5-point favorite there.
Or I get to take BYU and points. Heck yeah, I'm going to take BYU and points.
I do too. We're like the same guy today.
I mean, what have you seen from Oregon?
Nothing.
That would make you say, oh, yeah, they're going to beat BYU. Well, they are the home team, right? And so the home team from Vegas always gets 3 points just from being at home. So essentially Vegas is saying it's a pick 'em. But so far, I'd say BYU has been a more impressive team than Oregon.
Much more impressive team. I 100% agree. This next game, though, I'm not going to say I can go either way, but I can understand an argument either way. Let's hear from Nick.
Mississippi State going to LSU, 5 o'clock kick at Tiger Stadium. Mississippi State is the 2.5-point favorite in that one.
Bulldogs again.
Again, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. We're the same.
Yeah,
I think we're going to learn a lot about LSU this week because the Florida State game, atrocious coaching down the stretch, and they just didn't.
On both sides.
Sides, yeah. Last week, I don't really count that as a matchup. We'll see how they come back this week.
I just think Leach's got his offense rolling, and that quarterback from Florida State threw the ball pretty well on LSU.
Yep.
So why would Will Rogers not?
Let's go to the next one.
Number 11, Michigan State at Washington, 6:30 kick. Washington is the 3.5-point favorite.
I have to admit, I know nothing about the Washington Huskies.
I know nothing about them.
So I'm going to take Michigan State in points because I haven't seen much from the Pac-12 that makes me that impresses me. Maybe I'm going to lose this one just based on ignorance.
I'm feeling really good about my pick so far. I'm 100% agreeing with you. Michigan State is going to roll in this one at 3.5 points. Yes, they're going to win by 7. I'm in.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go to the last one.
All right, number 13, Miami coming to number 24, Texas A&M. Kyle Field, obviously, 8 o'clock kick. A&M is the 5.5-point favorite.
Maybe I'm just stubborn, but I'm going with A&M. A&M's going to win by a touchdown, at least.
I am too. And here's my thing. I don't think they're going to give up more than 17, 18 points, all right? Just like against App State. I just feel that with a little more offense going and that defense getting some guys back, I think maybe Maybe they give up 20 points. A&M scoring 31 points in this game. They're going to win.
Well, I hope you're right, because things score into the 30s, which you should do. Then I'm going to feel like you win, especially with that defense.
If you give up less than 22 points, 21 points at home, you should win. Let's talk Max, because this came out yesterday. He's going to be the guy. How did it come to this? I know what happened with Haynes, but I'm saying, like, just kind of give us a little bit of the backstory.
Well, I think what happened is they basically opened it up starting this week, starting Monday. And Nuno, I never thought that Jimbo had a choice in this thing.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying, Jimbo's going to try to. The worst I thought, not worst, but like I think if he had any way he was going to keep Haynes, it was to split the first team reps most of the week and have Max ready to go second, third possession. First big mistake. But I didn't think that was the right answer either.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, then it opens the door for this back and forth. I think he did the right thing, and I thought he was going to do this the whole time. I just didn't think there was an option. You scored 7 points against a team that North Carolina scored 60 against the week before. You had really 10 points through 28 minutes. You had 1 touchdown through 28 minutes against Sam Houston. You go back to last year and 1 offensive touchdown against Colorado, 1 against Arkansas, none against Auburn. That is an unacceptable lack of production. There's got to be a spark, and I said it the other day to you, there's no position on the field where you can get more of a lift, potentially. It's not guaranteed, but you change quarterback in football, and it has the biggest impact. There's not another, a distant second would be changing a point guard on a basketball team. A distant second. You never see that. I guess in college you could see it, but there's nothing close to changing a quarterback and the impact it could have. So they opened it up this week. Now, I guess the only way Haynes would start is if Max had a really bad week of practice. Maybe then it's like, gosh, we can't. This guy's throwing picks all week in front of the whole team. What message does it send to play him? But that wasn't the case, fortunately, because that would have been, I think, the worst case scenario. So Max, pretty early in the week, I don't know for sure if it was Tuesday or Wednesday, started getting the majority, the normal first team reps, which maybe I don't know if that's a 70-30 split or whatever that is. So Max 1, Haynes 2. Still, I think Haynes is the backup there for this week. And I think it was the right thing. I hate it. I hate it for Haynes. I like it for Max. I think this is why you signed him.
Yes.
I know everybody at Baton Rouge, Max is going to start, right? Yeah, of course. They didn't know anything about Haynes, and they didn't know anything about Jimbo and Haynes. Jimbo believes in his quarterback, and some would say to a fault. I would say he's seen something different than what Haynes has shown in the game. But at what point do you have to say, man, I got a guy on the bench that has played in games like this and played well? You haven't seen that from Haynes yet. You have seen that from Max, and the offense needs a spark. You got to take that shot. You have to. That's, again, he was the ultimate insurance policy. He could have won a starting job in camp, but at worst case, I said before the season when Haynes won it, I said A&M's got the best backup quarterback in the SEC. What is
Max
that? What is
Johnson,
A&M going to see Saturday?
He's tough. He's a really tough player. He had all of the odds stacked against him last year. Going into the 2021 season, he wasn't supposed to be the starting quarterback. Miles Brennan broke his arm fishing like a couple weeks before fall camp. So Max Johnson was just had this starting quarterback position thrust upon him, and he really took it in stride. He's a really tough player. He's a smart player. He's the son of a former player, son of a coach. So he just has a really good football brain. Smart player, tough guy. And I think that he is kind of the refresh that this Aggie team needs. And he's going to be able to run the ball. He's going to be able to throw the ball. He'll protect the football. He's a good quarterback.
Caroline, where did he, strive, and where did he struggle? Where were his biggest highs and the biggest lows?
I'll start with the biggest low. So we'll end on a positive note because I know we need some of those going over there in College Station. I would look at the UCLA game last year. And he made some very questionable decisions. He had like a behind the back, like little pitch throw that was thrown for an interception. We were all like, what are you doing? Just take care of the football. You're going to get sacked, throw the ball away. It's not sexy and it's not a flashy way to go out there, but also just take care of the football and keep the ball moving. It's better to just turn the ball. It's not as good to turn the ball over. Just go ahead and turn over on downs. So that was one thing with Max Johnson, was some of the decision making and almost trying to play hero ball a little bit too much last year. And I think that was also a result of being a young player and trying to really prove himself, knowing that he was not named the starting quarterback, and he was the starting quarterback because he had to go in for Miles Brennan. So I think that was one thing, was just don't try and play hero ball. Don't try and get cute with it. Just play safe football. But I think the biggest thing with Max Johnson is just he has a really high football IQ, and that's such a buzzword in football, but it really is true. I think he has a good command of the field. I think he has good vision of the football field, and I think that he learned throughout the year how to protect the football and when to run in certain situations, when to throw the ball in certain situations. So there was a lot of growth that Max Johnson made last year, but I always look back to some of those decisions that he made in the beginning of last year. Just don't play hero ball. Just play it safe.
That's an interesting point, because we saw what she's talking about in terms of that progress. Yeah. He didn't make any mistakes in Death Valley the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's the only reason LSU won that game. But now you wonder, kind of a similar situation. Didn't win the job out of camp, coming in, knows they're expecting him to go out there and perform well. Do we get early season Max that's trying, or do we get this veteran that now has kind of figured it out? It'll be fascinating to see. Well, first of all, how important a game from someone sitting there on the outside with an LSU background. I know you followed Jimbo a lot, and then also being, you're kind of overlooking and covering the entire SEC here. How big a game is this in this particular season, and then also big picture for Jimbo and the Aggies?
I think that a bounce back is so necessary, because I think everyone is looking at Jimbo. And I look at 3 games in particular in the SEC last week that were kind of uncharacteristic or kind of strange performances. And I've asked myself, it was Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M. Yeah. I asked myself, is that a defining moment for your season? Is that just a little peek of what's to come for the rest of your season? Is that who you are? Was that a fluke, or do we just not know? And I think in order to define that for Texas A&M, it all falls on Jimbo Fisher and how he's able to make those adjustments. I think this Miami game is so key because it's a really interesting matchup. Miami is a good team. Art Crispall's a good coach. It's how does Jimbo start to make those adjustments? I think it's beyond just changing the starting quarterback. I think it also falls in the offensive system. So I look at some of the play calling last week from Jimbo, even the week before. I thought, Jimbo, you're trying to do too much from 2013. Bring this offense into 2022, start to shake things up a little bit.
What does changing quarterback do for a locker room, though? Like, how does it?
I can tell you from my perspective, it gives you hope as a player. Like, you have the whole week of hope. Man, this. Look, I'm so glad they did. I mean, it happens. Everybody's got their personal feelings about a guy, and if you think that a guy is better, you're going to acknowledge that and be like, "Oh, thank goodness they made that change." That gives me all this motivation to go out and practice and protect him, all that stuff. And, from what I can tell, the team's going to rally around him and do that. We got the guys, man. We got the guys to be really good. They just have to go out and mentally do it. And they did get physically whipped. They did. But, they've got the guys to be the team that they need to be.
Well, this offensive line's got to come together.
That's true.
Yeah. They have got to figure
Bryce,
this stuff
that's
out.
a big deal, man. Getting him back is big. I hope he's healthy.
It is a big deal if he comes out and is the Bryce that we had at the end of last year. I don't know what version of Bryce we're going to get. I hope it's version.
We'll see
if it
real
is,
quick.
we'll be better. We'll be a better offensive line. But there's still guys.
Can Wyckoff play guard?
Sure. Yeah, he can absolutely play guard. He's big enough, strong enough, athletic enough. He could easily
my
play
biggest
guard.
thing would be if he knows
He'd be better
blocking the right
guard.
guys, because it's very clear that there's some misses inside and miscommunication.
Well, I would say that center, what's up at guard. I mean, there are some intricate little guard things, but
y'all
if you
both
play
done
center,
it, right?
Yeah.
If you play center, you should know what everybody's doing.
Yeah. pretty much.
Did you see, like, to me, like, I didn't pay attention completely to what every assignment was, but I did notice the snaps being a little too high for Haynes. And just.
But we
One
talked
of them
about
was where
this.
you are.
Remember, we talked about this the first show we did. I said the guy's too tall to play center. You're 6'7", you're going against a guy that's 6'2", you're leaning. When you lean, your butt comes up. When your butt comes up, the snap can go high.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
It's not easy, man. In our day and age, we didn't do a lot of running out of the gun. It just didn't
hard.
happen.
It is
That's
hard
a
to
very, very
shotgun
difficult
snap out of
thing
a
to
run
do.
play.
So I mean, I really don't. I have empathy for them, if you will. But I mean, they got to get it right. I mean, it's what you do, so fix it somehow. I mean, spend the time to do what you got to do to get that right.
All right, I want to remind you guys, I'll do a post-game wrap after the show, or after the game, I should say, hopefully after A&M beats Miami. I'm expecting a much better performance. Make sure you watch that, sign up for the alerts, follow, like, subscribe, tweet, tell your friends about it, all the normal stuff I normally say. And hopefully I see some of you guys at the TexAgs tailgate. See you next time.